So I just recently got Dark City in 4K from Arrow Video. This was co-written and directed by Alex Proyas. And I also had the original Blu-ray prior to getting this. And this movie is one of my favorites of all time. And Alex Proyas is a director that I wish was given the opportunity to make more movies, because the last big feature film he did was the unfortunate movie Gods of Egypt. And he's currently working on a more independent film right now called RUR, which is a musical. And in total, as I recall, he's made like 7 feature films, and it'll be 8 once RUR comes out. But he's mainly known for 2 movies, Dark City, and then the one we're going to talk about today, The Crow. This is the original, The Crow, with Brandon Lee from 1994. And well, this movie and Dark City are one of my favorite movies. And Alex Proyas, I think, is a very, very talented director. But, as usual, the studios couldn't leave well enough alone. Because, well, like all successful movies, they actually made multiple sequels and a show to this. And this one here is the 4K version of The Crow. And in 2024, they decided to do what most movie studios do and basically reboot The Crow with the 2024 Crow reboot with Bill Skarsgård, Danny Houston, F.K. Twigs, and other actors and actresses, but those are the main ones. And well, The Crow 1994 is just legendary. It's a classic. And The Crow 2024 was a waste. And what I mean by waste is, well, it was a wasted opportunity. It could have been really great if they didn't try to reboot something that I don't think anybody wanted to see a reboot on. And if you actually watch the film, it is, let's just say, confusing, at times boring, and at the end of the day, it's just generic and forgettable. And if it wasn't for the original, I probably wouldn't think twice about it. But because it's based upon such a beloved classic, I'm going to talk about why The Crow reboot is such a waste. So let's start off with the story itself. The Crow reboot has Bill Skarsgård as Eric Draven, and then F.K. Twigs is his love interest, Shelley. And the story in general is Shelley has a friend who witnessed something that she shouldn't have, and then she has some evidence that could incriminate the crime lord, crime boss, Rogue, played by Danny Houston. And Danny Houston has some unique powers of his own, where he's able to whisper in people's ear and makes them do things, and that's basically his powers, and he made a deal with the devil. So that's kind of like the general story. And then Eric Draven, obviously he gets murdered along with his girlfriend, and now he has become the next Crow, and he's out for revenge. And yeah, the plot itself, it is just, I would say, very convoluted. You know, it's more complex than it should be. And honestly, I didn't really feel anything with it. You know, it's very uninteresting. And even though you have a story that has been done over and over with all these other Crow films, there was nothing like the original. And the main reason why, besides Brandon Lee's performance, is the simple fact that the story had a lot more emotion. It had characters in there that you really, really do care about, you know, and that you are not only interested in the characters, but you're concerned about them. And then with Brandon Lee's performance on top of everything, it just added that extra level of emotion, which really says a lot without showing a lot. You pretty much know what happened in the first few moments of the movie. And then from there, it becomes his journey, you know, of revenge, of sadness, of sorrow, set in this beautiful gothic atmosphere that carried over to Dark City with this whole dark atmosphere. And Alex Proyas just did an amazing job. And then by the end of The Crow, the original, you just feel really satisfied and felt like, yeah, that was an awesome movie. Everything here was just top notch. The villains were great. I really loved this film because at the end of the day, it had a story and characters that made me feel something. Whereas The Crow reboot didn't do any of that. And that's the first thing. The whole plot, the story, the characters was just generic, emotionless You know, you're just going through the motions. And then the other thing that was wasted was the talent. You know, so Bill Skarsgård, definitely a great actor. Danny Houston as well. FKA Twigs, she is a musical performer, so I don't think she's that good of an actress at all. And so, yeah, the talent there, it is there, especially with Bill Skarsgård, but it was wasted because they didn't have the writing to actually flesh out these characters and allow these actors and actresses to really give a lot of depth and emotion to them. And then the final thing is, I wish they didn't just call it The Crow, because we already have The Crow, the original. If they would have called it something else and still be within the Crow universe, I think it would have been better, because then you wouldn't have so many fans hate on this film. And even the director, Ernie Hudson, who was in the original Crow, felt the same way. It was just not a good idea. And, well, at the end of the day, the Crow reboot just bombed. And hopefully, there's not ever another one, because they wasted that opportunity on such a beloved classic. So, if you actually had any thoughts on this film or Alex Proyas' other films, be sure to leave in the comments area below, and I'll see you on the next episode.